Well, welcome back to more of the LS swap. I need to get this wiring under control. This is all the factory stuff. I don't believe we're going to need much of it. This is the new harness here. It's got the electronic pedal, brain box. So when this got rewired, it got rewired with fuses and relays, and then the wires. And it comes with the new OBD2 port and little tiny, very vague instructions. So I'm going to get into this 4runner first, and I'm going to see if I could just pull the majority of the wiring out, because I'm going to need to make sense of, let's see, one of these. I think this one's the oil pressure. I'll need water temp. I may have to go out back and look on the other 4runner out back to make sure, because somehow I'm going to try and tap into the new harness to make the factory gauges work. So I'm just going to get to work pulling this out. There's a few things in my way. Air conditioning. I should just take this air conditioning hose totally out for now. And then hopefully I can get the transmission hooked up, because I have a whole nother harness. Alright, so 6L80E. This is another harness. So I'm I need to make this harness work with the new harness, and also try and make it to where you can't tell anything else has been done in the interior. We don't want the aftermarket gauges inside. I guess that could be an option. Maybe I should check, but I don't like that look. I would prefer to see if we can use the oil temp, and I think the voltage is always there. But I'm going to get in the passenger side, tear the dash apart, and see. Once I get it all apart and figure it out, I'll bring the camera back out. Alright, so I got the wiring on the motor itself kind of in. I don't really like how it lays out, and when they did the standalone wiring, I may end up, once this is further along, try and get some of this a little bit nicer looking. These over here go to O2 sensors, so I'm not worried about those. There's a wire down here. I still have to find what that plugs into. The original Toyota harness is out. I'll go through that later. I also got the transmission mounted. Let's see if we can get in here. I was hoping to use the Toyota stock crossmember with the stock Chevy crossmember, but I must not have gotten the stock crossmember for this transmission transfer case. So instead of using the stock one at all, I'm just going to use it for a mock-up plate so I can get the dimensions correct. And then, because this is exactly where this transmission will sit. It'll be a little tough trying to build the shifter, but it'll be doable. So I've had quite a long day. I have to go and take this camera to the UPS place and drop it off for a warranty. So when I get back, I'm going to record on my phone for a little while. I'm hoping my new camera I ordered comes in, because I got another GoPro coming. They don't give you one. They don't send you one first, so I just bought another one. So once I get more of this wiring figured out, or even the transmission crossmember, I'm not sure which, because I still have this frame piece to do too. So I've got some more work before I can get another big video out. So I'll be back. I got caught working and not recording again. My chicken scratch for the transmission crossmember. Oh yeah! That's it. Alright, so don't be afraid to use cardboard. It's better to screw cardboard up like I did than it is steel plate that's expensive. So I've decided to go with a 12-inch wide
deck the bolt. I probably sound funny and I'm yelling, huh? Anyways, 12-inch wide. It's got to have a 3-inch offset and then a 2 1/4 inch kick. So 10 degrees, both cut. Like that. With my 2 1/2, I'll get my measurement to where this is going to be from center of this 20 1/4 inches over, and then weld a piece out of steel like this flat to bolt up to the frame. Basically mimicking this, but not as big as a drop and not quite as big of a kick to it. And I'll reinforce it with clean metal, but basically that'll run down the whole center. I'll put the 10% or 10-degree kick in it, hollow out a couple of wider holes here, skinnier holes there, and it should mount right up just fine. So that's what I'm building today, I hope. I hope I have more of this too. Huh, okay, gotta go buy more of that. Anyways, I'm gonna get this done. And then just like my pattern tells me, we'll just eyeball it, maybe, and center. It'll lay pretty close to where it needs to be. I'll move this just a hair. 2 more cuts, some tack welds. Okay, so I have the cross member built. I already have it installed. Get down here. So I have it to where it bolts into the factory original cross member. Still need to locate a couple of these nuts. This 1/4 inch plate should be plenty strong enough. I was going to put some tubing and some other stuff on there. I don't think I'm going to do that. I've already given it a pretty good test to make sure it's not going to break and stuff. So in order for me to have gotten this, really what I did is I put a straight edge from about where this mounting point is on each side here across the back of this mount, and then I got some regular old measurements, and that's how I got my 2 1/4 drop, and then I got a 3-inch offset, and then once I mock up fit it, I found that it covered up these pan bolts, so I trimmed off another 1.5 inches of this front side of it to come up with this design. And it fits real well. It's, like I say, it's bolted on both sides. Now that I have all this in, I'm gonna try and get the brake lines ran while all this is in here. Figure out the fuel line situation. I know the fuel lines on this passenger side, that's the supply, and then there's 2 returns. I got to figure out if one of these if they're both returns, they're here, or if one goes to maybe an EVAP system, I don't know. All right, I'm back out here on this Toyota. I know last clip I said something about running the brake lines and stuff, but now that this engine is in here, this is exactly where it's going to sit. I put a straight edge, or a level. Actually, I got the level right here. So I put a level across here, and it looks like for the most part it's going to clear. This sticks up just a hair, which is no big deal. It looks as though we're going to have plenty of room. I've been investigating trying to get a different, maybe going with the Corvette pulley system and
everything to get this to suck back in. It'll give us another inch or more clearance so we can go with a real radiator in here. But all my parts came in for this axle, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to concentrate. I've already got it cleaned up, tore apart. I put the nuts back on so I don't screw them up, but I need to get this. It is a big gouge. It just doesn't come across on camera very well. And then while I was messing with it, let me set you guys here. All right, so I also found there's some pretty good gouges through here. And then also on this back side. So I'm sure they torched off whatever was here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some weld in these spots. I want to get this whole housing cleaned up. And also, there's two of those. Also, I need to get this diff armor welded on, and this piece that goes here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up, wire brushed, or whatever I got to do to get this housing cleaned up. And once the housing's cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and start getting everything together. I do have all the parts. They're just up on my shelf waiting. I want to get all this cleaned up. That way we can get the front end mocked up in here also. I want to get the tires on it and the front end sitting on the ground to where we know exactly how it's going to ride, how it's going to sit. I want to verify that the motor's sitting in there correct before we do too much more fabrication work. So I'm going to go ahead and get busy. All right, got that all done. Armor's on, that piece is on. I got some touch up to do, but I don't know if you can see that smoke coming out of there. But once this cools off, I'm going to clean this up a little bit more, and then I'll get it set up somewhere a little bit better than the last place I had it when it fell on the ground. This be a little heavier with all that crap on there. So I'm going to get something set up to where I can put that housing on there so I can start doing the rebuild. And then, yeah, then I'll be back. All right, I got the third member pretty well cleaned up, some of the bearings off. I can't find my tool to pull this off yet. I'll do that here in a bit. We did get a complete rebuild. We're not going to need the bolts because we're not taking the ring gear off. At least it came with a new nut. That's nice. I'm just going to get this knocked out. If anybody wants to see how these are put together, I'll have another one that I'm going to do for the rear end of this. So I'm just going to knock this out and just get it done. When I come back, the third will be ready to drop in, and then I will record putting the front end back together. That way if people need to know that process, I'll have it done. I have not figured out what I want to do with it yet. I might just put it in the vise. All right, I have that third member in. It spins nice, like it should. It's not too loose. It's a little, put a little preload on them. So
So I'm going to go ahead and get this side here reassembled. Okay, so these trunnion bearings, you'll see pretty much it looks like that roller bearing was sitting in there, and that's mainly from driving straight down the road. That's how that normally works. So we're going to knock these races out. Each one of these got a little notch in there for a punch. And you drop it. Alright, we got to put these felt pieces on. Rubber. Get yourself some emery cloth and clean up the surface. Alright, so I'm this far, and then I realized that I did not clean the rest of the parts to finish this. So I'm going to get to getting all these parts cleaned up and scraped, and I'm going to chase the threads on all this stuff so it goes together easy. And then I'll bring the camera back out. I'm going to make sure I have everything clean first, because I have parts strung everywhere since I was doing so much fab work. I'm going to have to clean all that up and then go through all that stuff. So it'll be a while for me, but seconds for you. Okay, I got everything cleaned up. I already assembled this other side. Mainly that way when I was cleaning up, I could track this, make sure I had everything. Just get right to it. Alright, for shimming, I just start guessing at first. Once you get closer to fitting. Let's see what that does. Oh. It's not going to be enough. Alright, so I'm going to add to the bottom shim here because I didn't put much on the bottom. I mainly shimmed the top this time. There's all these different thicknesses. It came with new ones, but I used most of the new ones on the other side. Good place to start. Okay, you want a nice smooth turn, but you don't want any play. There's no play. There's no way I lucked out like that. Well, we have to re-shim it once we get the weight and tires on it. We'll shim it then. But for now, I think that's going to work. I think it looks good. If you don't shim these right, and they're too stiff, you'll be swaying all over the road. And if they're too loose, you're going to have play in these knuckles and you're going to wear your tires out. So it's a fine line. That's why they come with so many different thicknesses. So we'll just hang on to all those. Because I'm sure I'm going to re-shim both of these before it's done. That kit did not come with these new backing plate pieces, so I'm just going to wipe them down good, scrape what I can, put it back on. Alright, so if you're like me and throw all your bolts in one pile when you tear something apart, these Toyota front ends have two different heights. Long ones go to your hubs, these go to your backing plates. And these
You'll have two close holes and then flat, flat. This is how it goes. These plates go like this. This lip down in here face away. And just try and get these things just barely even a couple of threads. Otherwise you'll fight it. And I'll fight this no matter what. I fought the other one already, so. Alright, I'm going to move the camera and get this done. Try and bring your bolts down evenly. Otherwise you'll start bending the you know what out of this plate. Better view. 10 millimeter. Run it down as even as possible. Couple of turns. It'll seem like an eternity, but will get tight. Okay, I forgot to knock the new seal in the front, which won't be too bad. All right, get the seal kind of pushed in, find a socket that fits. That's it. Knock it into place. Alright, I'm going to take this time, I'm going to squish grease everywhere in here. When I'm done, I'll take this plug out and I'll pump a whole bunch more grease. I'd rather have too much grease in this to where it's coming out than mud and dirt getting in. So, I'm just going to start getting it in there. Do the same with the back part of the axle here. I wiped out a bunch of the old, but some of it's gonna stay. A little bit of a bitch sometimes. Alright. Put a little bit of grease in there. Alright, so look for your gasket that has flats on it. I believe this goes this way. You line up your holes because there is a way it goes. Yep, that looks about right. So this isn't the fun part here because you have to line so much stuff up. That gasket, this seal, because this seal has that little dimple that goes down there for things to drip out of. And then on top of that gasket, this has to go on. All that has to be held into place, then you can bolt it. So you need 15 hands because it becomes a pain. So I need to find some RTV so I can stick this to that. And then this. Just pushed out a bunch of the grease. So the gasket's moving. Okay, that should sit. Slide this on. And figure out which direction this goes. Which I think... Okay, this goes this direction. This is fun. And the gasket moved. Okay. Now this goes on. I think this way. All right. Please. Okay, it's looking good. Next step is the rotor. I'm gonna put some grease back in here though. Okay, I already repacked these bearings. It's hard to see, but there's fresh grease in there. You can see it there. Alright, washer, funny groove. Large nut. And just set these good, put some load on it, and then back it off. Again, like I said in other videos, I know there's tools for that, but this has gotten me by since I was very young. Alright, well, I don't know where my SD card filled up. I might have filmed all that in slow-mo. I didn't realize it. So I went ahead and just kept going and working, thinking it was still on, and I didn't check. So here we are, all done. This is where I'll end that video, or I should say, this is where I'm going to end this video. The next video, we're going to put this 4runner, the front end on it, get it set on the ground, do the ride the correct way. We want to see the height, that way I can get the shackles. I want to get this pretty much ready to at least roll around, steer, things like that, and I want to get it running. After it's running, then I'm going to put leaf springs on the rear and match the lift and the ride. So if you're liking these videos, give me a thumbs up. It really helps what we're doing here. Stay tuned, there'll be a lot more coming. Thanks for watching.